Hi, fantasy book lovers, TGIF. This is Thank Gods It's Fantasy Podcast. We are Kayla, Veronica, and Bryanna, three best friends who love talking about all things books, from the romance, the conflict, and of course, morally gray men. Every 2 weeks, we will be getting together to talk about our theories, opinions, and reviews of our current read. Please read along, join in, and be one of our book besties too. Hi everyone, welcome to our show. Thanks for joining us. In this episode, we'll be discussing the first half of Crescent City, House of Flame and Shadow. We stopped at chapter 46, so if you have read up to that point or further, then you're good to go for this episode. Before we start, we would like to announce a disclaimer that many of the things we discuss might be more suitable for mature audiences. We are all adults here, so if explicit language or content is not for you, then turn back while you still can. Also, just a fair warning, even though we are focusing on Crescent City, Book 3, there are spoilers from the Sarah J. Maas universe. So if you have not read ACOTAR, then this is your warning that we will be pulling from that series as well. Okay. Speaking of this, what do you guys think? Resand or Rysand?
It's not even a question. It's Rhysand.
I agree. I have never
And
said Rysand.
I don't understand the people that are Rysands. I'm sorry to all of you that are out there because I know there's a lot of you. But Rice, really? Rice is who you want?
I don't like that as a nickname. Like, Reese sounds so much better as a nickname to like than say it as a.
I don't like it.
Okay, wait. Okay, so for me, when I was reading it, Reese read Reese for me, but RHYSAN was Rysand. So I read it both ways.
Oh, interesting.
And I was fine interchanging it.
Once again, I'm pretty sure I went to the back of the book where she had like the pronunciations of them, and I read that because you know me, I have to like actually know, because you know my struggle with Feyre. I had absolutely no idea what to do with that.
How did you say that one in your head?
I had a stroke for you. I don't know. I can't even try. For your
Oh, that's so funny.
So while we were at the book release on Monday, the MC at the Barnes & Noble we were at kept saying the author's name for Crescent City 3, and I was like, she could at least say it right. Like, how embarrassing. So how do you guys pronounce our author's name?
I just don't know that I can switch to Mass. I know that's how she says it, how I've said it.
This is like 6 years, the Rysand people. This is how I feel about Sarah J. Maas. To me, it has always been Moss. There's 2 A's. But then she came out with her like promo and was like, hi, this is Sarah J. Maas. And I had a conniption because I've been saying it wrong this entire time, as have all of us.
All of us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we sent it to each other and we're like, you guys, we've been saying it wrong.
So
the whole time. 6 or 7 years.
Apologies there, but also I don't know that I can swap now.
I don't know that I can.
In our defense, Google pronounces it. Let me play it for you.
Moss.
Let me one more time, just in case you didn't hear.
Moss.
I mean, and again, as someone whose name is frequently mispronounced, I get it. I want to give her how she says it, but it feels wrong because of the spelling. If it was Mass, I wouldn't feel weird about it.
Yeah. Is it like Target and Target? Like,
can we just have a fancier version?
Can we just have a fancier version? Moss.
That's
just have our version.
I like that. I mean, again, I don't think you can correct us after this many years.
It's going to be hard. Okay, so here we go. Kayla said it. We didn't think that we were going to have enough to talk about just reading 50% of this book, but there's a lot. And unlike our previous episodes, we're not doing a full recap. We're not going over what happened chapter per chapter or anything like that. We're just going to be talking about this book just like a book club would. We want you to just relax, enjoy with us, leave some comments if you agree or disagree with anything that we're saying. We love theories. Put those in the comments too, but no spoilers. Okay, you guys, we have only read to 50%, and it was hard to stop at 50%.
So hard.
Who got there first and has been waiting for way too long now? I've already forgotten things, guys. Like, it's bad. I read it so fast.
Yep.
So, in the beginning, Bryce is in Perithian. She has her first interactions with the inner circle. How do we feel about this?
I mean, see for myself and what I've at least seen a little bit on Book Talk and Bookstagram, I wanted to shake her and the inner circle the whole time. Like, obviously, yes, to them, like, hostile person came from who knows where, and to her, hostile people from like aliens and aliens, you know? So I get in my rational mind, but in my mind that knows both of them, all of them, I'm like, be friends, wait, be allies. But they were just so not wanting to do that. And Bryce, being Bryce, kept like stirring the pot.
As she does.
Not screwing them over, but you know, not really making herself look very trustworthy. So I was very frustrated, I feel like, the whole time she was in Prithian, because I just wanted them to be friends.
Yeah, I agree. I felt kind of let down with their interactions because I wanted more interaction with more people, because they really did limit it primarily to Nesta and Az, which is fine. Love them. Not opposed to that. But I would have liked to see more interaction with more characters.
Yes.
And then, yeah, just the hostility towards one of I was like, guys, no, work together. We've got a big bad we've got to go against, and you don't realize it yet.
I know. And if Feyre was there, you know that she would have been so rational and been like, you guys are stupid. Obviously, we need to help this girl rather than putting her in the interrogation room and having Az go all shadow daddy on her. Like, oh my God, big scary. And Rhys being so big scary. I mean, kind of cool to see that side of him, but also it's like,
come on. I know.
No, but they had the two most untrusting people follow her. So like there was no going forward with
Amryn.
any of that.
Yeah.
Amryn also was just like, Rhys, just go in her mind. Just take it already.
I know. That was funny. That's true to her character for sure.
100%.
But did they have that pill before? That little silver pill?
I think that was a whole new concept just for this moment. I was like, whoa, what? We have a magic pill? Love that.
And it was just filled with magic then. That's how it refilled.
Yeah, but it like blew her up, man. She was in so much pain.
Yeah, it was weird. Cool concept, but
it's a high dose of power.
Filling a plot hole. Obviously filling a plot hole.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting because she very well, because they're from the same origin world, she very well could have just had them speaking the same language.
Yeah. Like she chose to have them speaking different dialects essentially at this point, and then had to create then this pill to make it so they could talk. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
She didn't necessarily have to create this plot hole that she then needed to fill.
But if that was in her mind, because obviously in ACOTAR, she talks about the sword going missing, Gwydion going missing, and then in Crescent City, they talk about the prophecy of the dagger and the sword. So she obviously knew that Truth Teller and the Star Sword Gwydion were going to come together. So she knew she was meshing these worlds. So maybe her little interpreter pill was like in her back pocket that entire time, because she knew she was molding these worlds together at some point.
They're going to need a lot of fucking pills if people are going to be crossing worlds, because no one speaks the rest of that language. No one even
speaks ancient Fae. Like, it is wild that she does because of her line of work.
Yep.
And it's Rhys, Amryn, I mean, people that were there at that time, But I don't even think the other High Lords or anyone speaks Ancient Fae.
No, it seems like it's very few that
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Yep, a lot of pills.
Yeah,
A lot of
because
those.
are you guys then under the assumption they're going to come back together? Do we think that we're not done with the characters of Prith? Like, I just can't imagine that's it.
I don't think there's any way that Rigulus just lets that drop when he's like
Yes.
a dog with a bone to get back to this world.
Yeah.
And the Autumn King was talking about that world so much that it just seemed like there's a lot of people gunning to get back into that
Yeah.
world.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys felt this way. I felt very uncomfortable that Truth Teller was taken from Az. I was like,
Oh.
you took his sword.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know why Truth Teller to me was always a sword before, but I guess it's a dagger. But when she took it, I was like,
That's not
"But
yours.
That's Az is. He's known for having that."
Yeah.
But it calls to me.
Irrationally sad for him.
Yeah,
about
but I
the
feel
dagger
like
getting
it's gonna
taken.
end up back in his hand. I can't foresee her just ending up with this for all time because she's
Yeah.
not really big on swords anyway. She's very, yeah, you have your own sword. I don't actually care about it. So I can't imagine she actually keeps it in
Yeah.
the long run. So yeah, I definitely think they're coming back into play. Do you think by the end of this book they'll be back in play already? Or do you think it'll be
I
even
don't
further?
think so. I
think
all
it
I
could be
need-
right at the end again to annoy me.
I think it could be because she's working on ACOTAR right now.
Yes.
We know there's
And it's
another
about
Crescent City
Az,
book.
isn't it? Yeah.
We know there's another Crescent City book, but I can't get it out of my mind that this next series that she's coming up
It's
with
also gonna
is them all coming together. And it's like the mass verse all together for whatever those books are. I have a hard time when I know there's more books coming, like that there's going to
Yeah.
be any major resolution happening. I'm bad like that where I'm like, oh, we know that it's not going to be figured out in this book because there's more to come. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know,
we
could
got
be
screwed
wrong.
over with the other series as far as resolutions go.
Freaking Zodiac Academy. But
No, I love it.
anyway, going back to her interrogation, because
Yeah.
that was all wild. The fact that her tattoo is from the Book of Breathing, I thought was very interesting. I mean, that definitely put them all on edge. They kind of freaked out when they saw that after she
Yeah.
took her little happy pill. And then the creatures. What did you guys think about the creatures?
Are you talking about the little swimmy thingies?
No, in the pit. Like she jumps down
Yeah.
into the pit and they like
I
bowed
thought
to
they
her.
Now to
Swimming.
her. Yeah.
No.
Do you remember
Well,
that?
okay. I get why you probably think that because describes them as looking like Sobex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like night Sobex. And the way she described them, I just kept thinking, like, these seem like creatures from hell. They don't see light. They're born in
Mm.
darkness. I feel like she said something about them being sightless, but they couldn't have been because they reacted to her light. But I just found it very interesting that they were like docile little puppies, essentially, when she flared her light at them.
But
Do
is
you
it
think it has to do
because
with Thea and the fact she was
yeah, because she made that space and like those are the monsters she had put in there and because that's their home. They knew that of her because they recognized the magic.
there's
Yeah.
something to do with that?
There's definitely something to do. And they talked about the fact that the Steri brought in all of these creatures. They created all of these creatures and then they put them into the middle.
Yeah.
And they used that even after they were gone. Thea and Fionn used that as their game park to have like worthy competitors. So
Yeah.
all of those creatures that we hear about in ACOTAR that are so horrible in the middle, that was just a big giant game park for Thea and Fionn, and they originated from the Steri. Well, I wonder if there was a gate from Midgard to Hell. There easily could have been a gate from Hell to Prithian.
Mhm.
And in all of those drawings, a hellscape was depicted at the bottom
Yeah.
of every single one of those carvings into the wall, like on the way
On the
to the
tunnel.
prison. Yeah, down in the tunnel. There was a hellscape the
Yeah.
entire time.
Mhm.
So is hell really right there? I don't know.
I don't know.
Interesting. But then it'll be interesting to see then, because like obviously I think Hell and Hell's Army is going to come into play at some point,
Yes.
obviously. But I just then wonder how much control over some of these creatures she'll then have if that's how they responded to her in that moment. Like, it'll be interesting to see if they'll almost follow her instead of.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like it is like some sort of foresight into
Well-
something to come.
Well, Thea was Adis's mate.
I know. That's what I'm
So
saying. Like, I think
any
there's-
creature he created could have been created in a way that it responds to her light and won't hurt someone with her light, because he would never let any of
No.
his creatures hurt her. So someone who also has her light definitely could be. And we know this Sari was in hell. I don't know if they were in hell after Prithian or before Prithian. I feel like it was after, but I can't say
Yeah, I
that for
don't
certainty,
remember
because
the
what if they
order.
brought some of their little creatures with them to Prithian?
Yeah.
Do you think Bryce is a reincarnation of Thea? And that's why she has her light, or it just skipped down and she has that same amount of power?
She's just a descendant.
Yeah.
That's
just
that's all I
happens
think.
to
I don't think she's a
yeah.
reincarnation. I think it just the way
That-
in all these fantasy books, eventually somewhere in whatever generation,
Someone super powerful comes into play.
it like breeds true. Like what did they talk about?
Man,
I feel
that'd
like
be
they talk
wild if
about that
they-
with Aelin, how Mala's light finally bred true in her.
Mm.
So I think that's kind of what it comes down to, is just finally, for whatever reason,
Finally
the
came
genes
through.
went right.
I know.
Yeah.
I was just curious because Adis was saying, like, I recognize Thea's light. And so I'm just like,
Yeah.
Is this thing? But that would be a wild concept, because then she'd have two mates. And that would be too much for my brain to handle. We can't go down that route. It's too much. It's too much for me.
or
He
I
is-
just don't know which one's the true one.
He is
Oh.
oddly protective of her.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
why if I go too far that way, it's a lot for my brain to handle, and I don't need a
Yeah.
who to choose situation, because those are not my favorite.
Mm.
Pass.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Just stick with Hunt.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Another thing about them walking through the tunnels, one, all of the creatures they came across, like what? The Midgard worm? Do you think it's actually from Midgard?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think
It's
so.
just too coincidental, the name, I feel like,
Yeah.
to not.
Weird. I also just loved seeing Nesta from like another point of view,
Mhm.
and how much she tested Bryce. You could tell
Mhm.
she was giving her little tests the whole time, and she'd be disappointed in her if she didn't do something
Uh-huh.
that lived up to what she thought she was, because you could tell she already had a preconceived notion. I think Nesta knows Bryce is good.
Mhm.
Yes.
She's in a pickle, and she's trying to prove that in a way, which is
Yeah.
why she volunteered to go or whatever. But then she also kind of loves when she betrays her. Like, she would make a
Yeah.
snarky comment or do something that was kind of, oh, I'm not even mad, I'm impressed.
I was gonna say, I think there's something about Nesta that loves a challenge,
Yes.
though. I think she
Mhm.
appreciates seeing that in somebody else.
Yes.
So I do think I hope they become friends, because I do just think they're very similar in a lot of ways. And
Mhm.
so
Compatible.
them pairing up will just be amazing.
Okay, did anyone else find it super interesting? I felt, granted, I've read it the most recently, unless you got through it, Brie. At the end of Silver Flames, I thought Nesta gave up almost all of her power
Yes, that's
to
what I
save
thought too.
Nyx and to save Feyre, and only kept like a kernel of it.
Yeah.
But she was very powerful in this. Like,
Yeah, man,
Silver
I didn't
Flames,
remember
she
that.
still had glowing eyes. She
Mhm.
still was, like Bryce says multiple times, she is the apex predator.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I thought it was super interesting, because I was under the impression almost all of her power was given up to save them.
Maybe
That,
just how
or that's
powerful
just
she
to say
was.
how much. Yeah, maybe a
Because I
kernel is
do remember
still
that.
a crazy amount.
Yes, a
'Cause-
kernel from Cauldron Blessed. Or Cauldron Ripped, if you really want to say, because she just stole that. It was not blessed to her. She took it. Like I said, frustrated the whole time with each of them in turn, but mostly Bryce. And then we got to the end and we learned a lot, but I think we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the Hind, aka Lydia, and her
Wild.
plan. I know how she developed this all on her own while trying to keep Pollock's disgusting
Ugh.
Ugh.
at bay while he's groping her and just walking around with his sausage hanging out, rubbing
Yeah.
it in her face and stuff.
Inducing her own period to try to stave him off and give her a
Gotta
reason to, like,
respect that, honestly.
yeah. She's incredible.
Yes.
Wow. What a character. You know what I mean? She is so smart, and the way she can switch her emotions off like that, having to watch Rune be tortured right in front of her every single day and then go to bed with the person who, along with
Who
herself,
tortured.
was doing it
But also
and just
offer other ways of torture to make it a lesser evil, but still
Yeah.
terrible. Like
Yes.
use the
Still
barbed
terrible.
wire instead of the regular whip. Ugh.
Yeah.
So
Because she was just trying to prolong his demise, really. Yeah. I'm excited to continue to know her as a character. It's interesting coming from all the way at the beginning where she seemed so one-dimensional, and now I'm
Mhm.
just like, there's so many layers to her as a character now.
Mm.
And I'm excited to learn more about her story. Obviously, we're getting some insight into that, but I just think there's still so much more to her to understand, and like her motivation for all of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even
But
her whole process with the Sprite Queen,
yeah,
like, she thought that through so thoroughly that she got the hag arrested on a trumped up charge,
Mhm.
all to
Mm.
just test Arithes, to test her and see
Erithus.
how loyal she is, to see if she
Mhm.
could trust her. And then, God, she's got Rigulus in her pocket.
Mhm.
Right here, just eating out of the palm of her hand.
Yeah.
Wild.
So, honestly, wish I could have been like a fly on the wall when he realized it was her that broke
Yes.
them out and took down the entire, what's it
Spine.
called? The spine, took out the
Mm-hmm.
spine.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he was probably so pissed.
Man, big mad.
Big
Very
man.
I can't even imagine.
Well, you guys, okay, so they, in the book, it had only been like 2 days since the whole like big
Mhm.
thing with
Mhm.
Radiohead went down and Bryce went away. So really, all this happened like a span of less than a week, where she came up
Yep.
with a plan. She contacted other people. She
Mhm.
contacted Ethan and Therion and Flynn and all of them. Um,
Mhm.
and then came back and then coordinated a boat. And then she got to talk to the fire spray queen. And then
Mhm.
so much happened in this week and all this coordinating while still trying to put on the front that she's this
Yep.
badass evil bitch.
Yep.
And I I can't even
Well,
take the
and
kids to
I
school
mean,
and
that attests to how
Right.
long she's been doing it though, too. Like,
Yeah.
true.
she's been doing it a long time. She's been putting on this face for, I mean, ages now, and
15
like dealing
years.
with Pollux for gross, for so long.
He's so disgusting.
I need him to die.
I
Mm-hmm.
need her to kill him. It's either gonna be
Yeah.
her or Rune. I think it's gonna
Ooh,
be like
either one of those would
Rune.
be satisfying.
I think it's gonna be Rune holding him down and her killing him because
I
Mm-hmm.
would love
Rune's going
that.
to want to, but he's gonna give it to her.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's polite enough for that. I see that.
But she was very motivated. I mean, she has deep feelings for Rune, obviously,
Yes.
because she just watching him go through all of this, she was like, I need to get him out. But also
Yeah.
her other motivation joining Ophion were her surprise twins. What the fuck is that? Whose
Okay,
babies are
when she got up and just started running, I was like, "Oh, she's afraid of being underwater." I don't know what I thought. I was like,
I
"She's,
was
like,
not
really
expecting surprise
panicking."
children. That's for
I
No.
sure.
I thought that she lost her memory and
Yeah.
went back, reverted back to just being the hind. I didn't even think that there was another reason for her running. I was just like, oh shit, she's trying to escape. She's gonna go back to Regulus.
There
What
was
the
no
fuck?
inkling to her having kids. Like, there was no
No.
hint at that by any means. So I don't know where we would have conjured up that thought, but
No.
loved the plot twist. I was not prepared for that.
Who do you think the father is?
I
I
don't want it to be
just
Pollux. I
I
think they
I
I
would
don't
would
think it
know.
is
be
because they would have wings.
True. That's what they did
Because
say. They did say that.
he was one of the angels that was bred from the Asteri to be like the perfect ones, the perfect soldiers or whatever. He's their main best accomplishment, basically, because he has those like pure white wings. So his kids would have wings. I'm like so confident of that.
Yeah, they're 15 years old, and she had them for 8 months before she gave them up to be adopted.
Was it 8 or 18? It was 18 months, I think.
Oh, 18 months. But she had them for a long time. Like, somebody had to have known she had children. There's no way she just dropped off the face of Midgard and
for 2+ years.
Yeah,
I'm worried about who the dad is. She talks so icky about her dad all the time. So I'm like, please don't be something really icky like that. But then I'm also wondering if there was a time, because her dad was so abusive, if she escaped him and someone harbored her during that time and they fell in love, created a relationship, whatever. And she had the boys at that point, had them for 18 months. I'm guessing at some point that person probably died, because that's kind of how everyone goes
otherwise
in
I
her
think
family.
it would be with him if
She would
it
want to
was
be with
like
him.
a love match or
Yes. So I feel like that's probably it. But was she, I don't know, do you think she was the hind before she had the boys?
I think so. I think she was the hind before, because it was only like what? So 16 years, because of how long she had to be pregnant for. How long was she with Sandriel for? I feel like she was
say that's what I was trying to remember.
I thought that Hunt said she's only 28 and that she went to her rank in being in Sandriel's Triari in uncommonly quick time.
Oh,
Wait, no. Because she's
no.
50 years, she's 30 years older
Yeah.
than Hypaxia.
Yeah.
20 years older than Hypaxia. So no, she's got to be like in her 50s or something, 60s.
Yeah. I'm just trying to remember how long she was with Sandriel. I think that's where I was like, is it, I mean, I would think it was pre that.
I think she's been with Sandriel.
Then also, why did I'm trying to remember why she ended up with Sandriel. Like, I don't remember that whole origin. Did we talk about that?
I don't think so. I think she's always been with Sandriel, because Sandriel had her Triari, which I also found very interesting. Hunt said he was never a part of her official Triari.
Yeah.
In this
because
book,
he was captured, right?
Yes, he was. But I thought very specifically it said in the previous books that he was a part of Sandriel's Triari. Same with Isaiah. And then in the previous book, Isaiah was not actually in her Triari. And then in this book, Hunt says that he wasn't actually in the Triari.
Maybe
which
that's
is
just
weird
like
to me.
how he was identified. Like, that's how people knew of him, because he was essentially based off what she had him do, but it wasn't like I don't know.
Yeah. That was a weird little plot hole that I felt didn't match. Because I swear he said when I was in Sandriel's Triari.
Yeah.
Previously.
Yeah.
Could
No,
be
I'm
wrong.
very
I did
curious
catch
to
that too, though.
who their dad'll be. And I love that they have 2 dads. I loved that. I loved that so much. And they just seem so good to them. I was very happy with that whole situation, that they like love their dad so much.
But so
Obviously,
heartbreaking
the
for
reaction to
her.
her was a little heartbreaking for her, understandably.
Understandably.
But also, your perception in the media is kind of bad. So kind of understood where they were coming from in that regard, and she did too, but so sad at the same time. She's just, I just love you guys, and I want to make sure you're okay, and I'm not going to take you away or anything. I just want to see you.
How do we pronounce her son's names?
Ace and shoot, what was the other one?
Is it Bryanna? I have to look it up again.
I can't pronounce Ace's like
full
name. Like Ace.
That's why we've got a shortened version for us.
But
yeah,
they called him Ace.
It's Bran and Asteon.
Asteon.
It's got to be Ace, unless it's Actaeon. Actaeon.
Oh. Could have been Actaeon. But then they call him Ace because he's really smart. They said they call him Ace because he's smart.
So maybe it's just his nickname and not necessarily like a shorter version of his name. Okay. Another one of those names. I'm like, got it. and moved on.
Yeah, I struggled big time with that one.
Oh.
I'm equal parts sad that her and Rune are fighting, but
Oh, yeah.
also kind of glad she stuck it to him and was like, you were a real jerk. But then I can see his side where it's like, well, you're the hind. I don't know. I can see both sides of them being
Yes.
upset, but also
It's easier to like the good guy than it is to bad guy, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like, it's like, oh, it's Rune. Mm. And he's, oh, fuck, it's the hind. She killed all
Yeah.
these.
but also she tried so hard to get him out that whole time and talk to him, and he just shut her out completely and
Yeah.
wasn't receptive to her.
I
So,
mean, it's hard though when she's always having to put on a face every time he's being tortured. Like, that would be such a mental fuck, man. I would struggle with that person. I'd be like, nah, F you. I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna die here. Screw you. I'm done with this.
Yeah.
in the beginning of the book, when Lydia tried to connect with Rune in their mind again, I could have sworn it said something about how he was on a raft, like a rafter kind of, how I imagined in my head, instead of a bridge. So was it because their
Mhm.
connection was strong that it ended up being this smaller connection, and that's what that was? Because he just rolled off of it. He said he didn't want to talk to her anymore. He just had a message to pass on, and he just rolled off and disconnected. But then later on, it became the bridge again. So is that like a word play on like how their relationship started rebuilding, or
I see it as a receptivity to being open to her, like opening a pathway to her, whereas before there was no pathway. There was a tiny little boat that he was like coming in just to say hi and then was like, bye. But with building a bridge for their minds to connect is how I see it. But also thinking about this has been in the back of my mind this whole time. Is she a Daimati? Because why is she just able to communicate with him across, all
I really
these.
just think we're in a mate situation and it's like a mate thing
Yeah.
personally, but maybe she could be, but she hasn't really alluded to that towards anyone else. Like, we
Yeah. She
haven't.
used the calm crystal always otherwise, right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. And she seemed surprised, I feel like, in the last book when they were able to connect
Yeah.
accidentally. So I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a mate situation or if he really was just kind of almost leaving this opening to her where
Mhm.
most of the time it's like a quick on off. And maybe that's why it went from raft to bridge again. He finally left the line open.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't think she's a Daimati,
Yeah.
but
Because they're
who
all
knows?
fae. So it's
I don't know.
possible.
is.
Can speak mind to mind like
Demand.
Reese.
Is that an ACOTAR?
Mhm.
Dang
Yes.
it, I don't remember.
They call it like mind speaking in Crescent City, and then in
Yes.
ACOTAR, they're called Daimati. And
Yeah.
like
Got it. It's been a
a
while.
decent amount, not a lot, but there are
A lot
multiple
more
people
of
with
them.
that gift in ACOTAR. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people with a lot more gifts in ACOTAR, obviously. She talks
But they're
about
not
Azrael.
diluted.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Azrael's power being like 100 proof compared to Hunt's. And I
Yeah.
died. I was like,
Well,
that is hilarious.
it's because they only had to give up a little kernel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Well, and they're
at a
getting
time.
free flowing from the world at all
Mhm.
times. Like
God.
they
Instead
talk
of
about the magic of the land and kind of feeling the magic of the land way less than it used to be. But it seems like when Fionn died, a lot of the land, obviously the whole middle died with him.
yeah.
And it seems like a lot of the magic of the land died with him too, which is interesting. But there's definitely like a lot more magic in the air in
Yeah.
ACOTAR than there
And beyond
is.
it was the High King
Mhm.
before. Okay.
Thea's husband
Okay. That she
murdered. Well,
murdered.
technically it was a Nox that actually killed him, but
Small
She
details.
let him there.
she
Okay.
let him there.
Moving on, the Viper Queen and her contract with Therian and how all that went down. So I guess Ethan brought Flynn, Declan, and Mark. Is that who the other one
Yeah,
is?
Mark
Mhm.
was there,
To the
Declan's
meat
boyfriend.
market. Yes, to go try to save Therian because he's part of the pack. And
Mm,
the only
love.
way I know. They were trying to make a deal. They're trying to get him out, trying to get him to escape. Why didn't you come to us first? Why did you go to the Viper Queen?
Well, and then before they even got there, they were like on their way to go free Therian to try to get, they only agreed because they were trying to get the city ship, but they get cornered by Sabine and Amelie and their pack. They like run them into a corner. That whole thing.
Oh my God.
That whole thing. I reread that part today of Sabine being like, you look just like your dad, and I'm going to kill you quickly. Can't say that I did that for your sister. And Sigrid being like, now we know she went into the tub to save her sister, to protect her. And we also know that Sabine killed her dad and killed her sister. But also Sigrid, whatever. She ruthless. She was like, I'm going to piss on your corpse. And I was like, whoa, man.
I love her. I love her Spitfire. It's just on a different level. And again, there's that lack of social awareness that just makes it so much better. I'm like, yes, go that hard. I loved it.
Pick up on the social cues whatsoever.
No, she did not back down.
No, she did not, which I respect.
Alpha through and through.
You guys, this sentence, when I read it in this whole meat market part, when Amelie and Sabine were there, Deck's shot had been for Sabine's knee to incapacitate her, but Flynn blasted Sabine's face clean off. I was like, what the? Is she dead?
Oh, I wish I would have had a reaction of me reading that part. Oh, I think I texted you. Did I text you that? I don't remember. I was like, what the fuck?
I just have in my notes, what the fuck? Because
the most crazy visual. I can't even.
Just shut her face off.
Mm-hmm.
But then the fact she's still like fine.
No, I'm like, really? Then we can be fine. Same thing as them fixing the freaking harpy. I was like,
I know.
Can we just
I was like, stop bringing people back? Only if I
forgot
want
about
them
that part.
quite frankly.
Yes. Oh my God. I was like, can we not? Can they just die? No? And also,
no, we've got to bring back the stupid ones.
Yeah.
She's down.
What?
Right.
She's
I'm
down.
like, Sabine is down. She down right there. Her face
it felt
gone. Just take that head right off, light her on fire, and clean up her ashes. Like Micah.
But politics, you guys. If he would have done it, then it would have been an assassination attempt instead of
and that would have been a whole different war situation.
But I agree. I would just kill her. Do it.
Yeah.
Get Sigrid, whatever, Siggy. Get Siggy to do it.
Get Siggy to do it. So then, obviously, the Viper Queen, being who she is, traps them in her house. Like, hey, you're going to stay here, and I'm going to feed you, and also you're going to do what I want, because I know that you tried to shoot Sabine's face off.
Yeah.
I didn't like any of this part. Therian and her, that whole thing...
Very
not
icky.
My favorite. Him just giving up and going to her and then fighting for her, and the whole thing to me was just icky and weird and kind of annoying. So I'm glad that they didn't draw that out longer than it needed to be, because
agreed,
not my favorite.
Well, no, and I definitely didn't love the whole concept of him drinking her, and we knew it was going to go that direction. There was definitely some foresight to that, but did not love. Glad we got out of that a lot faster than I thought we might get out.
Where do you think Ari went? Who do you think her new contract's with?
Jessica.
So do I. I think it's with Jessica too, because the way that she was talking about her, and the fact that like her fire is the only thing that can kill the princes of hell or harm them in any way, and she's obviously going to want to get back at Apollyon,
and she's been trying to get her.
She's been trying to get her.
I didn't even think through that whole thing.
Look at you.
I did it.
You did that. I'm so proud of you, because that did not even. I was like, I would love for that. I want that.
Yes.
Jessica's a badass.
I know.
She really is.
Love her.
Ugh.
We'll get to her story later, but
Mhm.
Ethan and Sigrid, I'm just gonna call her
Oh,
Siggy
Siggy,
too.
yeah.
She gonna be Siggy. Ethan and Siggy's fight. First of all, I was like, ma'am, you are cutthroat. You're like putting on the little sorry act, and then you're like, bam, swipe at your throat.
Murder. Yeah.
They said it was all
But
instinct.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, but she took it real seriously. And that was
I
a
mean,
lot.
I feel like that's been her whole life, though, is just fending for herself.
Yeah.
So the concept of having some semblance of a friend, I just don't think that translates to her. So in that
Mm-mm.
moment, it really was fight or flight. I'm going to fight for my life. You're going to die
Yeah.
before I do, quite frankly. Which is a bummer coming from Ethan, who's just a little softy and
I
just.
know. I was like, it had to be Ethan. Come on.
I know. I was not expecting her to be the
Ethan.
one that he had to fight.
No, I thought it was going to be Ari. I 100% thought it was going to be Ari. But, oh my God, him killing her. When
That
it was
blew my
like, it
mind.
went straight through her. Same reaction that I had
Mhm.
with Sabine's face blowing off is how I felt when it was like, oops,
whole-
slipped. And my whole fucking hand went through her throat and then decapitated her. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
I'm all for
Again,
a good
the
throat punch
visual
whenever
effect.
someone makes me upset. Like, whatever, just a quick jab to the
Quick,
throat,
yeah,
right?
little throat
Nah,
punch.
just straight through. What? And
So, like,
then,
And then he didn't move. He just stayed there.
yes, because it wasn't until he went back that it actually then severed the
Yeah.
The way she wrote that was impressive, I've got to say. It was very
Yes.
I had a
detailed.
good visual. Mhm.
I did have a great
yes.
visual. Same as Sabine's face getting blown off.
Yeah, that was
I had a great visual for that, which
Can we just
honestly,
applaud that?
good job,
Yes.
Flynn. We love you, Flynn.
Fuck Sabine, always.
I know this is like going back a little bit, but when the Hind came in to talk to them, and when she's like, Hunt is important to Bryce, and Baxian is a great fighter and he'll help us, and she turns around and just says, and Rune is important to me, I was like,
I
oh,
know.
he is. He is so sweet. I loved that part.
Yeah,
But
that was a good
thank
moment.
God they all got out.
Seriously.
But also, frickin' Ethan, can I just, with him bailing out at the last minute to do his noble bullshit, I cannot. He has done this, what, twice? 3 times? Supposed to go on the trip, doesn't go on the trip.
But you abandon your pack every time.
I know. So much for being a pack, man. You're just gotta go do something.
And he's the one who like claimed them as their pack. It's not,
I know.
Flynn did it. He was like, you guys are my
I
pack.
know.
And I'm now
Yeah.
just going to
I
leave you
don't
because I have
know.
this guilty conscience and I have to
He's
go
just
fix
got
it.
this
We have to
deep-seated
talk
emotional tie to Siggy.
Yes. Which I was also surprised. I was like, really? They're just going to kill her off? That feels like a big thing, which
Fast.
obviously not. But when we talk about Jessica and her whole story later on, we need to talk about her relationship with Ethan because I'm living for it.
I love
Me
it.
too.
I'm loving it so
love
much.
it so much also.
I think
But-
Bryce she's in trouble because I think she's going to get booted for Jessica's favorite because
Yes. I love it. I love
I
their
don't
dynamic
know.
so much.
I don't know.
yeah.
Bryce has that sass. But you guys, how badass, speaking of, Sasa, Rithi, and damn it, I can't remember the other one. But they blew up.
Alana.
What did they blow? What did they blow up?
They blew up
whole-
the Viper
her
Queen's
house?
entire house.
Yes.
Like the fighting ring and everything. I love that they're just like, go, go, go. Like zip into the
in the
freaking
getaway
car.
car.
Like, "No."
You guys, they're the reason why there's a bounty on Therion's
On Therion's head.
Mhm.
I love it. Honestly,
Yeah.
love it. I loved him in the first book. Yeah. And I liked him a lot in the second book, but he's been annoying me in this one. So he better buck up and start doing something because
Yeah.
now
The
I understand. 'Cause
self-loathing.
a lot of people don't like him a whole lot, but I always really liked him. And now I need him to just get his shit together.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Talking about shit, the torture that went down in the
Oof.
dungeons back in the Crystal Palace.
She really didn't skimp on that now, did she? She
No.
really went
Nope.
there.
The fact that they were laying in their shit whenever they got
Yeah.
breaks from being tethered up by the Gorsian shackles, in their
Yeah.
piss, in their feces, laying in it, eating food from the floor, their open
Yeah.
wounds just marinating in all of this filth.
Well,
Ugh.
and the degree of really putting it in perspective, the degree of torture you can do with a veneer
Mhm.
before them dying. It talks
Yeah.
about at one point that Rune is completely disemboweled and his intestines are on the floor. And they sawed off their wings with a blunt tooth saw.
Saw.
Man,
How do
it
you
was a lot.
imagine? How do you imagine the intestines healing? Do you think it shrivels back up in there and gets put back into place, or do they
I
fall
don't know
out
that I
and then they
really
just
want to
I don't know.
picture
I don't
that.
know. They cut it all out and then new ones just grow?
Mm. But cutting out things, you
Ugh.
guys, when Baxian was chewing on Rue's arm or his hand.
That was a lot for me personally.
A lot.
Definitely struggled with that. I gotta commend Baxian for taking one for the team there and not
So
making Hunt
sweet.
do it. Because it was very touching, but also
He's
wow.
like, you get the next one.
But also the fact Rune was just like, you gotta do it. I was like, that's not quick. It's not like some of those movies where it's a quick cutoff. Okay, I
Yeah,
lost
because
my
he's
hand,
not in his
whatever.
wolf form. He's not in his wolf
No,
form where he
he's
could have just ripped it
literally
off.
gnawing it off. It's not fast. There's just no way to do that fast.
And he's
Gnawing it
throwing
off,
up in
puking it
between
up, and yeah, just
And like
chewing
bone,
it, puking.
you're getting
chewing.
through bone.
I mean, he does have
Yes,
sharper
it kind
teeth.
of sends me. I know he has sharper teeth, but like that kind of undid every time. I just had to like kind of blur that in my brain a little bit. I did
Yeah.
the little, we're getting fuzzy there because I couldn't. It was a lot
No.
for me.
SJM did a really good job with this description. It was gruesome for sure.
Brutal.
We all know my love for Baxian, and I
Yeah.
feel like it just grew even more.
No.
All of their interactions in there, I don't know why. I feel like I was getting teary-eyed every time Baxian said something or did something. I was like, oh. When Hunt says Baxian is not budging, even though he knows things about them, and he says, I would expect nothing less than the man that Erd chose for Danica as her mate. And I was like, oh.
That one was such a heartfelt moment. And just the way they coped together was just wild.
You want to hear a joke?
That
I died.
one undid me. Yes,
Or-
I was hysterically laughing because I was just like, I get you have to dissociate from the moment and you're just so far gone that it's funny now.
And they all just laughed. And then the other part was them all sticking their tongues out. Go ahead, cut it off. And then they all
Take
just
it.
started laughing. I was like,
But it
what
made
is
their food more
happening?
palatable, you guys, because then they couldn't taste it.
Or the shit that they were actually eating.
Yeah. Ugh.
So in the second book, at the end, when we knew that Hunt was going to get his black crown put back on, I thought maybe Baxian would too, but he didn't get it put on. It was only.
It was just
I thought
Hunt.
he did also, but it
Yeah.
was just Hunt.
I was kind of surprised I didn't get one put on.
I was also surprised, but I don't know if I thought that the crown was almost like a honing beacon or
GPS kind of thing.
like a proximity thing.
Mhm.
So them being on the ship and him having that on, I'm like, can he feel you? Can he see you? Are you
Mm.
under his control? Because in my mind and in most fantasy books, things like that come with a level of attachment to them,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, it's interesting to me that he's just able to be out and about and away from them, but have a slave crown on
Mhm.
and not have that be significant.
But is it a slave crown? Because in the dungeon, there were lots of shadows that Hunt was seeing, and he thought that it was death. He thought that it was coming for him.
Mm.
I don't know what's better, to try to stay here for Bryce or just death take me. But really, it was Apollyon visiting him.
Yeah.
And Adis, because I think Apollyon was
grabs
there, and then he
Adis.
brought Adis later.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then they make a reference like, this is what your father bred you to be. But what does that mean? What do we think that means? Theories. Kayla, do you have any?
No, I honestly don't. I mean, I think his father is associated with hell. He obviously has an affinity for demons and sensing demons. The Black Crown, the only theory I keep coming back to is it reminds me of the Vogue collars from Throne of Glass. But those had like actual parasites in them. Vogue princes were held within those so that they could take over the person's body. So I don't know. These black crowns have been around for a millennia. This is not something new that he created. Is very interesting to me. I'm really not sure where that's gonna go. I don't have a whole lot of theories for that one, actually. That one has been eating at me with all of the demons of hell because they keep calling them demon princes. I keep coming back to Vogue. This makes me think they're from this dark world. They have all these creatures that are horrible, and yet their princes are these handsome men that are in these nice bodies and whatever and are super powerful. And the shadows, all of that. But then there's also, they're described as parasites, and so are the Steri. So I keep going back and forth between, okay, which one is the actual Vogue? Because I do think that they are. Someone is a Vogue.
Yeah.
But I can't decide which because the Steri also have light as their power. And the Vogue's power was darkness, shadows, desiccation, which is sucking the energy, the power out of you. So I guess it could have just been presented in a different way. But I keep going back and forth between Princes of Hell being Vogue and Asteri being Vogue. I can't decide which one it is.
You're like, they're just there.
I just highlight things and write Vogue every time I see something that is like parasite or dark prince or demon prince or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's very contradictory throughout all of my annotations.
I'm going to put it out there based on nothing. I don't think that Hunt's dad is from hell. I'm guessing that maybe his dad could be an Asteri because hell didn't have access to Midgard. They can't cross the plane. They don't know how to get over there. Otherwise, they would have had their armies there. And Hunt is over 200 years old. So it has to have been someone who was there already. So that's where I'm going to go with. I don't know. We'll see.
But hell came to Midgard 15,000 years ago.
Yes.
Or like 14,000 years ago when the rift opened.
But then they all left. Yeah?
But the rift is still open. They have a wall around it. It closed like a little bit, but it's still open. It's just not big enough for to get their entire armies, but it is still open only to hell.
I don't know. We'll see.
But
it's not really based off anything.
I don't know. I still think Hunt is like a demigod of some kind, and
I do think he's a demigod. But I'm like, was Thur associated with hell, or maybe the princes of hell? Or
I mean, there's still enough references to Thur that I just feel like he's gonna come into play. We just don't know how yet.
Yeah, maybe he just has Thur's power, like how Bryce has Thea's power.
But they keep talking about how he was bred. He was bred for something.
I know, but then like maybe they needed Thur for his power.
Ooh, maybe his mom is a demon from hell and his dad was Thur.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
so he's half demon, half demigod.
But was his mom an angel?
I'm trying to remember what his mom was. I can't remember.
I don't know.
A fallen angel, aka I don't know. I'm trying to make it make sense. I read too much fantasy, guys.
I like it. I like it.
Can I tell you though? This is where my mind went when it was like, and I think I've been watching or seeing that one Instagram with the cute little Bryaxis on there that she does the little Bryaxis cartoons. I was like, oh, there's a shadow staring at them from the corner. It's Bryaxis. I was so excited thinking that it was Bryaxis. I don't know why. I literally annotated it and was like, Bryaxis? ? No.
You're so funny.
Just Apollyon. But I was so excited.
Being a little creeper.
I was wrong.
Just watching them suffer.
Yeah.
I feel like he could be like that.
But again, he's the only one that can see them. Everyone else needs Halloween or the eternal equinox to see them, but Hunt can see them anytime. He's bred somehow. Maybe he is from hell then.
I was going to say, there's definitely some sort of connection to demons. It's just what?
Yeah, because Thea and Adis were able to connect because they were mates. That's why they were able to talk like across time and space.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got to have some kind of connection to be able to talk to them, even though they're not actually on that plane, just like Adis was not actually
Yeah.
on that plane
Mm-hmm.
talking to Thea.
Yeah. There's something.
Something, guys.
I
We're
can't
gonna
wait to
Hopefully
figure
figure it
that.
out by the next other half of this book.
Hopefully.
Do you guys remember what did Rigulus take Hunt's lightning for? Like in that little crystal, what did he take it for again? Or what's the
Wasn't that to bring back the harpy?
Yeah, it's to
Isn't that what he was using
regenerate
it for?
people.
Yeah, he was like using that to bring the harpy. Yeah. So yeah, his lightning can be used apparently to bring back
things?
the dead, which is interesting.
Yeah. So are you a
Mm.
necromancer, sir?
Dude, there's just so much more to Hunt. And of course, Hunt's blissfully unaware of it too, so I can't even blame him. But I'm just like, what?
He's like a walking AED, you guys.
He's a
He's
walking.
still
Okay,
that.
he was like, "Oh, I've never done that before," and then it was like, in my mind,
3
I was thinking,
times.
"Yes, you did.
So
You
many
did that
times,
for
bro.
Bryce. You definitely did that. You were just sitting there shocking the shit out of her chest while she was making the drop. Don't lie, boy.
I know. He's just
Maybe he's
Get outta
lying
here.
because of that thing on his head. And maybe he is really being controlled.
I don't know. The fact that it stings him is weird to me.
yeah,
Mhm.
I
It's
don't
not
like that it acts
comfortable.
different.
Like maybe it's still burrowing. Maybe it is a Vogue and it's still burrowing into his mind and eventually is going to take over.
I mean, they're
Ew.
all infected by the water, so maybe
The water
there's something to
parasites.
that. Yeah.
That's kind of
That
gross, though.
was a revelation that I was not prepared for.
No, I
No.
really did not love that. And it just feels like there's nothing that could be done about that at this
No.
point.
Have we heard of
How do
filtered
you
water?
I-
Yeah.
Bitch. Yes, I've heard of filtered water.
Let's
You
boil
jerk.
our water first, maybe, before we drink it.
But but would that work? What kind of I want to know the mechanism for that cuz clearly it's minute.
Healers in Terracin know how to get rid of
Mm.
parasites.
Where's
Ugh,
Terrace?
we're
'Cause
still just going to
they
connect
got rid
all
of
of them.
that whole thing was interesting to me because it was bothering me that in Prithian they talk about settling. You settle into your body, your age. You just essentially just stop aging. So it was weird to me that the Fae in Midgard had to do the drop. Why are they having to do this extra step? So it's so interesting that the reason they're having to do that is because this parasite will essentially eat away their magic until they die unless they give it over.
Which is just wild.
So wild.
The amount of I've got to give props to the Asteri for the level of thought they have put into this whole operation because that's wild. That whole concept has just I cannot.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had thousands
A long
of
time.
years
They've
to
had a
come
long
up with
time.
all these things.
Millennia.
So long.
Millennia.
Um,
Going off of that, I mean, I feel like we need to get into the big revelation when we found out actually everything that
mhm.
happened.
When we
Yeah.
went to that metal door, iron door, something happened at the end of the tunnel.
They were in the prison. They were in
They
an
were in the
antechamber within the prison, basically in the can't remember if it was the upper levels or lower levels, but they were in the actual palace part of the prison rather than
I thought it was the
the
lowest
dungeon.
'cause wasn't she underneath everything?
Yeah, but then
There was another level underneath.
I know, but
yeah, but
I
then
can't
they
imagine you
had
being up and then I don't know.
Down. I don't know.
they talked about it being an antechamber, but that they'd never seen before.
And then Bryce using her magic to not reanimate, but like kind of start Celine's story. Is it Celine or Silene?
I was saying Celine in my mind.
Okay.
Same, which could be wrong, but that's
I did
how I
not
was
listen to
also
the
saying it.
audibles, so I don't know.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like she just left a kernel of herself
Mhm.
to be reanimated as a holographic,
Hologram,
basic
mhm.
hologram, yeah, for someone of her bloodline to come and find out the story. I thought it was very interesting that Azriel said that she looked just like Reese's sister,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously because that's her descendant, but
Yeah.
their line must ring pretty
strong.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, for them to be also similar
Similar
to
looking.
Who did she marry again? Did they even talk about it?
the High Lord of the Night Court.
Okay, I don't remember.
of the time. She basically skims over and is like, I
Doesn't
don't need to
matter.
tell you
He's
how
done
I
for.
got there, but I met my mate. He was the High Lord of the Night Court. She told her
Her
son
babies. Mm-hmm.
the actual story and not her mate.
Mhm.
Also, people in that line are very untrustworthy of their mates.
I know.
Keeping things from their mates left and right. That seems like
Yeah.
it goes
I
without
mean, her
anyways.
mom there wasn't a lot of good role modeling for
Example.
one,
Yeah. I mean,
despite
that
being
whole
niece.
story was wild. What
Mhm.
Vesperus? Is that the Asteries name that her mom served that they
Yes.
found
Yeah.
down there? Vesperus,
Mhm.
who was the actual evening star?
That's what she said, but I don't know if they just
Yeah.
all claim their own titles.
She said she's the evening star, and the Hesperus, who is in Midgard right now, is not actually the evening star. So that's interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But so she ruled on that island in the prison
Mhm.
area before
One
it
of
was the
them.
prison.
Mm-hmm.
And Thea was her servant, basically,
Mm-hmm.
like her most loyal servant.
For
And
like
she's the one
5,000
who,
years.
yep,
Mhm.
and she's the one who created the trove. She's the actual maker of the trove herself. Even like, I know they say all the Asteri, they altered the cauldron, they damaged it, essentially, made it a weapon rather than just for creation. It now is for destruction. But I thought it was interesting that she's the one that actually made the trove and that the trove was made as weapons for the Asteri, not for Fae. I thought that
Yeah.
was super interesting. And then Thea's whole story was just horrendous. Don't have enough power here, or
You look
I'm
tired.
sad. Like, I'm sad that my daughters don't have an entire world, so I'm gonna give them their own worlds. Like, what on earth? Who thinks that way? And then,
Power hungry people.
yeah,
For people who
kills
didn't
their
have power.
husband. Yeah,
Yeah.
kills their husband, takes all the things, goes and just opens up this gate and decides conquering's gonna be the way. And then, oh wait, this isn't an empty world. There's all these people here. And I'm just gonna
Mhm.
murder them all. What?
It was weird, right? Because I don't think she had any intention initially to murder her husband. I think that came, or I know it came, from the fact that he didn't want to name her the person to take over if he died, that he named it
Mhm.
Mhm.
daughters. But then she ended up wanting to give her daughters more power, but she didn't want to be skipped out on it. So I thought that was
Yeah.
kind of weird.
I also
Mhm.
thought it was interesting that he didn't think she was a good enough successor, but it wasn't a woman thing
No.
because
It didn't seem
he
that way.
gave it to he wanted to give it to his daughter. So it was like,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
what is the reason? I mean, she was just maybe
Mm-hmm.
slightly less powerful than him, if at all. I
Uh-huh.
mean, the
Mhm.
sword and the dagger responded to both of them because they helped make them. So
Mm-hmm.
I
And
thought
she
that was
captured
interesting.
Vesperus. She put her away in a crystal prison. Why
Oh.
would you not assume that this person could lead or take over or anything like that? Yeah, so I'm just kind of wondering
There
what
must
that.
have been something more to that for
She
sure.
did that. Did she do that after? No, I guess she couldn't have because the Asteri were gone and they took over. Yeah.
Mhm.
But then again, it's like she lived in this palace away from him, which is also interesting. Like she kept her own palace in all those islands and
There must
Mhm.
have been some distrust there that we're just not privy to at this point. I just feel like there's still more to that.
yeah. Like he obviously didn't trust her.
Yeah.
Was it her or was it Silene that went and rounded up all the creatures that were created and put them in the prison?
Celine.
It was?
I think
Okay.
because what is it? Thea only warned the daughters that there was an evil below that would grab up
Mhm.
any time to snatch them.
Yeah.
Because Celine felt so awful about going back to Prithian from Midgard and leaving everyone there, she had that guilt and she had
Mhm.
that power or whatever. She atoned for all of that. And so all
Mhm.
the trolls and monsters underneath and started building that prison.
That's right. Yeah.
Look at me remembering things.
I know, look at you. What was your guys' feelings about the wolves involvement?
That they were the first ones. That they were the first ones to kill all the people. They were the very. I was surprised.
They went
Mhm.
through, killed everybody. They were like the Asteri's little dogs, and then the Dread Wolves were created by the Asteri. And I
Mhm.
thought it was interesting that Jessica says that the Fendir line was
Made.
engineered,
Yeah, that
and
shocked me.
essentially,
Yeah, that
and
shocked
we
me
find
too.
we find out how Sabine ended up with Mordock.
Yep, we
because it
sure
was
did.
ordered.
I know.
And that did not go in the series
Favor.
Sure did
And that's why
not
they
go in
killed
their
her.
favor.
at all. Yeah.
See, maybe they really do have something to do with Hunt's breeding then too, because they definitely like playing a hand at who mates with who and making these lines, and
No one's gonna tell them no.
Well, and making them indestructible. They make certain lines crazy powerful.
Yeah, because they're loyal to them. And so they make sure that they keep the power by giving people the illusion that they are holding it, but really it's them pulling the strings.
That whole process with like them running back to the gate, like Celine and Helena, that whole scene was rough, especially because you know what Peleus is going to do to her. And it talked about what he'd already been doing to humans.
Yeah.
Because they threw that body. Didn't she like threw that body in the river?
Yeah, naked girl.
Disgusting.
Just dropped her in the river, and they say that he was like loving everything that the Asterius power was giving them.
Yeah.
And using them as slaves. So knowing what was going to happen to her is rough. And then seeing how that all plays out, just sad. And like all of their subjects running after them, trying to get her to. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then her closing the door on that. Man, Bryce was pissed about her.
Yeah.
Which, understandably, she basically just lived that out and responded very differently. But I was just like, man, that is a terrible visual.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're all descendants from these horrible people on both sides. All of our favorite people are descendants of people that made horrible decisions.
Yeah.
And then didn't Az and Nesta kind of agree with how Helena and Thea only saved Celine? They were like, no, like wouldn't you rather save a couple people instead of like everybody?
Remember.
Sounds familiar, but I just can't picture them like agreeing with,
because they
were really mad the entire time too.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were mad, but then I just remember her just getting so upset, like saying, no, that's stupid. Like I came from these people who are murderers, and she just kept talking about it. So I feel like
I do feel like I recall Az almost being like devil's advocate to it and being like, no, like I get, because even obviously when she leaves them, they wanted to stop her in the hopes that, you know, she wouldn't bring evil back to their world. Really, I think they understood this isn't a great situation, but we'll do it. If we have to kill you to prevent this, then we'll do it. So they kind of understood that a little better than I think she was willing to think about. Mind you, I think it's still horrible, but yeah, I do feel like I recall him almost rationalizing that more when she's like emotionally unhinged.
Yeah. This is the other thing of why I keep going back and forth between Hell and Asteri Volgness. They killed her by decapitating her. That is how you kill a Volg. You cut their head off.
But not how you kill a wolf.
Her head didn't get cut off, though. She just got shot in the face because Sabine.
Siggy died that way. Siggy died that way.
Did get decapitated. But I think Sabine was just shot in the face, which isn't like a full neck off removal sitch.
I know, but
still wild.
And didn't they talk about her blood being black?
Who's? Vesperus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call it Icterus or something.
Volg.
You might
black blood. Decapitation. Volg.
You're like, I'm back to them.
Oh, but like, how crazy was it that Bryce let Vesperus out of the crystal cage, and she came out, just sat there chit-chatting for a little bit. Just Bryce is trying to get her information because Bryce is fucking brilliant in her own little way, but also crazy. Yes, and then Vesperus just sucks up this pure power that's been sitting beneath them this whole time, and then just becomes so powerful, and then she just dies with a sword in her chest, and then her head gets cut off real fast by Nesta. What the fuck?
But also Nesta.
I know. We do gotta appreciate that.
Love my girl. She's like, nah. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And then Bryce gets so mad that Vesperus is killed because she wanted to know how to kill them. She wanted to know so much more information.
And Nesta's like, bitch, I just did it.
I showed you.
Now you know.
Cut their damn head off. She wants like a clean sweep, all of them at once. But like, maybe you're going to have to go head to head. cut off a head, move on. Cut off a head, move on.
How do you
And
get
you
them
know,
like
Regulus is going to be the last one because he's a little slippery.
Yeah.
The fact that she has Silene's power now.
Oh, yeah. When she absorbed it.
So she
from
doesn't
Point to
need
the
to be like
Star.
powered up anymore.
That was
She
cool.
has another power.
And she
But I
controls the mountain. Just
Yeah.
stepping on the ground and
I had the same thought that Azriel and Nessa had when they were like, girl, do not let the prisoners out. Do you understand what is below us right now? And she's, I'm gonna move the mountain back to how it was. And they're like, no. Oh my God, no.
And she's like,
Like,
"Wahaha."
Don't
like
fuck
so
with
bad.
me.
I started panicking when she started doing that. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, they're in the prison. No. I mean,
This is bad.
would I
This is
love to see it to go back to being pretty? Yeah, like that would be great. But also, can we like murder all the beings in there?
Yeah, the bad thing first.
Yeah, and now
let's do
she can
that.
teleport where she wants and anytime she wants without having to have a little silver pill or a boost from Hunt or anything.
I do think it's weird that her power is so similar to the Asteries, though. Like Silene's power, the actual power that she has now, not just the light, is so similar
Mm-hmm.
to the Asteries. I think that's
And she
weird.
hates it, right? Because she hates that she can form it and it's similar to that. Like she didn't before it was just light. But then when she teleports over to the Autumn King, supposedly by accident, and she puts her light through the prism that separates light, she sees stars and something else. It was like two different
Darkness.
things.
Light and darkness mushed.
They kind of like gradient or something into each other
Yeah.
instead of the rainbow of different colors. And I thought
Yeah.
that was kind of interesting. What does that mean?
I
That
think
whole
it's
thing. I'm
just
not
the
gonna lie.
combination of her having star power and then what she got. Like, because I think you're on to the whole Vogue thing, because I think their light is really darkness, and I think
And
that's
they're
how we were
masking
able.
it like light.
Yes, and I think that's kind of our first little reveal at that. Like, oh, even though it's manifesting it as light, there's actually darkness to it. I think there's more to that.
So
Didn't
it's
they say darkness
actually
shapes the light. I don't know.
I was
I
gonna
feel
say,
like
I just something.
maybe it's like a play on the light that they're currently doing, but really it's darkness.
Yeah.
I'm curious what Rune's light looked like in the prison because he had a
Didn't
little
he
bit.
Ryan, he like barely
A little friend. He can't even prism it because it's so little.
I know.
It's
I'm just
just
like, I wonder
really
if they were able
light.
to look at it.
Hello, my little friend. Say hello to
Oh
my
my
little friend.
goodness. Do you think he
But-
could absorb more if she can? Or is that just a her thing, like being a conduit from the whole gate situation?
Maybe because she has.
I don't know. I'm just curious.
But I also feel like the Starborn gene bred true in her.
I agree.
Ooh, I thought it was so interesting that their shadows, she described their shadows differently. Like Azriel's shadow was like Cormac's, and then Reese's was Rune's. I thought that was interesting that she noticed the difference in their shadows and how they moved and interacted and how.
Because she had noticed that just with Rune and Cormac initially.
Yeah.
Bryce is so smart because I did not think that she dropped in on the Autumn King's office on purpose.
That woman, I swear. Yes. 100%. Because she, I mean, as she does, you just gotta assume the worst of her. And really, she's just a badass who knows exactly what she's doing at all times, apparently.
These are all of Sarah J. Maas's heroines.
Aelin
is that to a T.
Yeah,
oh, I've been doing this plan for the last 3 years. You didn't know that?
And you're like,
Bam.
no, why would I know that?
Yeah. I do appreciate that Sarah J. Maas, her female leads, they're all capable people. I do appreciate that they're not like these weak,
I need to be
woes me, help me, I can't do anything by myself, take care of me, rescue me, damsel in distress person. Yes, they all need their own help. And yes, they might need out there, but I appreciate that.
I do appreciate that as well.
I saw a meme, I think it was yesterday, that was every other female character in a fantasy is, I'm so ugly, I'm so weak, I'm the worst. And just super self-deprecating. And then it was like, and here's Aelin Galathynius. I am God's gift to Earth. I am a badass. You all are in God's presence. Like, she just thinks she's like the best, like the God's gift to Earth.
Uh-huh.
I was like, that is so true. Yep, there is.
That's right. Go off. I love it.
No woe is
She
me
is
about her.
no, not at all. I love that.
We talked about the spine blowing up and how Ithris had done that. But she was only able to do that because she was freed by the hag, which was a pretty ingenious plan Lydia had come up with to see if she was going to be a loyal person or loyal to her people, if she was like trustworthy by bringing her to the hag, having the hag remove her. Does she have a collar? She had something.
Yeah, she
collar.
had a collar.
She had a collar on her
Mm.
little sprite neck. And then
I love
she
her.
let her incinerate the hag.
Ugh,
I
love
love it.
that. I
Also
just
showing
love the
how
sprites so much. So
yeah.
much. I'm excited to see more of them. I just feel like Lily was a small fraction of what we're still going to get from all of the Sprite Nation. And I'm just so pumped because I
I
just love
know.
them all. I
And
love
showing
all
how
their
strong.
personalities. Yes. For them being like
She
a less
just
Mm-hmm.
anything to me is just wild because
They're
they seem to
powerful.
have insane amounts of power when
yeah.
not tied down, leashed down, whatever. I just think they're gonna really come into play coming
Yeah.
up, either in this book or in a future book. I mean, obviously she already had a really good moment, but I think there's still a lot more to
And
unfold.
the fact that their light keeps demons away in hell,
Mm-hmm.
so significant.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes.
I could see in the future Hell's armies coming through. I don't know that's gonna stay on our side when they come through. I think they could come through and help and then turn on them.
Be bad.
And then I could see an army of sprites, like,
Ugh,
surrounding
ugh,
their army and being,
I will die.
like, the shield and keeping Hell's armies at bay.
I love that.
I would just love them to be really the most powerful here. There's just something to be said about someone you underestimate who's little, who they think of as lesser, being actually the most
Yeah.
amazing. Ugh, I would die.
But you guys, they were
Well,
the only, they said universal, like, not community, what's the word I'm looking for? But like, they group
Vanir.
that sided with Hunt on his part. Like, it wasn't just like a few of them here, a few of them there. Their whole Vanir
Mhm.
pack, flight, bird things, I don't know, whatever, sprightly, whatever they're
Mhm.
called. They were the only ones to be there. So, I mean, like,
Breed.
they are
Uh-huh.
honorable. That's just what
Mhm.
they pride
Yes.
Which I
themselves
do
on.
love
Like, they
that.
don't take advantage of people when they're down. But man, they
They don't
fight.
lie.
Yes, I love that.
Because when they
What's
talked about Lily saying who her heritage was, and they're like, if you're to believe her, and the three sprites were so offended, they were like,
you
we
would never.
never lie
Mhm.
about our heritage. And knowing that she was the last
Mhm.
heir of the previous reign,
Mhm.
Uh-huh. I
and
know.
they thought that everyone else was dead, and they didn't realize that like they had another heir
I
there that whole
know.
time. I'm like, Lily.
I know. You know what's interesting is they read to me how werewolves typically read, whereas being loyal, like it's interesting that she really took a different spin with I feel like werewolves in her book cuz they
Yes.
are reading more to me like what I would typically read in
Yeah,
a
I can see
fantasy
that.
about werewolves where it's just like
Yeah.
honest, loyal. It's interesting. We did a switch up there and I
Yeah.
do like it. I like that it's sprites.
That whole escape, though, that the Hind and her orchestrated one, loved that she blew up the entire spine, loved that she blew up the
Uh-huh.
Ceres palace, like living for that. Loved when they drove next to Flynn and he opened the door and was there and Rune is crying and then Deck gets on the phone and is like talking back and forth with the Hind. And then when they say like when she got that call and it was like ready and then boom blew
I
everything. I
know.
got like chills that entire time. But then her getting chased by Mordok
Uh-huh.
and the Dreadwolves.
Oh,
I felt
ugh,
that.
I
I was sweating in that
Mhm.
whole thing. I was like, "Oh my god!" I couldn't read fast enough to know what
oh
happened there. Ugh.
I was freaking out. I was freaking out from the moment that she shot those guys in the elevator.
Yes.
When he's like, go fuck yourself or whatever that Hunt says. And she's like, yeah, I agree with you, Athalar. I was like, oh, it's happening.
That's what you sent me. That's the moment.
That's
you
what I
sent
sent
me.
you. Okay.
It was funny because I was like, what was this? Because I read that so fast, that whole section so fast that I was like, what is this exact moment? And so I had to re-pull it out and I was like, oh, yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
You have to read those sections fast, though,
Ugh.
right? They're not like a reread moment. You're like in it and you're like, oh my gosh. Oh my
I
God,
think
know what
I
happens
reread
as
that
quickly as
8 times. I was like, I need to live in this feeling right now.
Of course you did. Meanwhile, I'm speed reading like through it as quickly as possible and probably missing all these beautiful, wonderful little details that she has. And I'm just like, what is happening?
Oh my
like I
God.
need to find out. I
And
know.
that's the first time we see her shift.
Why did I not put together that she was a deer?
Oh, I did. They call her a deer shifter, and it's a hind, but
I know they
hind.
said that many times, but I didn't necessarily picture it either until that moment where I was just like, this is correct. I know they said this.
well,
but
and it's
we
interesting
mean
because
it.
she doesn't have hooves like Juniper. She doesn't have or hooves.
Correct.
So she's
We're
a different
called
kind of deer shifter, just because maybe because she's only half.
I don't
Well,
know.
and like she can do a full shift. Because can June do a full shift or is she just stuck in?
She's stuck, I think.
I was
that's
gonna
how she
say, like,
dances.
I think Lydia can do like a full shift between human
Yeah.
and.
So does that make her a full, what's it called? The High Lords? You know how they can do like a full shift?
Yeah. So she would be from
The same place Bryce is.
from Terracin world, from Throne of Glass world.
Oh, okay.
Same as the Hawk. I thought it was super interesting. He is a hawk shifter, just like Rowan
And
is a hawk
Baxian?
shifter.
Because he
And
turned into a whole
Baxian.
hound.
Yeah, so he's half angel, half shifter. So he
Mhm.
turns into a hound, but is also an angel, which I always thought was super interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, that whole thing. My freaking heart was in my throat because I was like, oh, I'm gonna kill her.
And then when she jumped off the cliff to save her life, and then she got blasted in the
Dude.
chest, and her
Well,
heart
and
was
then just
missing.
Rune's whole response to that.
You have to go back and save her. There, you get back in there.
And he was just like, "You must."
I like how they're just
Ariel's
like,
like,
okay,
fine, I'll do it. God.
like, okay, start stripping. Okay,
Yeah, and gets like, doesn't he get like completely naked? Because he's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
no shame.
no.
I
He's been doing that forever.
could not, in my mind, figure out what they were gonna do to stop her from dying from that fall. I was like,
yes,
him shooting up water to slow her fall did not even cross my mind.
No, the impact, even by hitting the water, would crush bones.
I mean, yeah, they said like every
Everything.
bone was broken in her body.
And her
Yeah, that
chest
whole
cavity
thing
is
was
missing because it was blasted
Yeah.
out of her.
Her
So they
heart
had to
was
make
all
her a new
details.
heart. And then
wild.
Hunt had to AED it.
That's when
I
he
just
said he
picture
had never
little tiny little lightning strikes through his little like finger.
him charging him up.
Clear.
No, I imagine it like Karate Kid when Mr. Miyagi goes and he rubs his hands together. And then that's what I imagine.
Stop. Oh my god, that's even better. I love that too. Oh,
that's
too many
hilarious.
great visuals for that.
But
God.
yeah, and then she came back, right? They gave her all the first light that they didn't have a lot of on their little city ship. And Rune said, don't give it to me, give it all to Lydia. So even though he's denying all these feelings for her, obviously he feels something because...
Oh, yeah. And he keeps alluding to that. He's like, how much I hate her. And then it'll be like, and that other emotion that I'm trying to ignore. Like, he is blatantly knows that he loves her.
They're so mated. Like,
you're so freaking mated.
I'm just waiting for them to, like, finally come to terms with it. Because I mean, if they're not, I would be shocked at this point. That would be a plot twist.
Are they gonna bang in the biodome also?
That could
maybe.
be fun.
But how cute was it that Bryce was like, Lydia, if you need someone to talk to who's not Rune, I'm just right next door.
I know. She always reaches out to like
all the girls.
Women.
She's a girl's girl, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah, fuck these alpha holes.
I know. I also love though her shift with Baxian and how she talks about him being one of the most important men in her life now because it's her best friend's mate. You know, they share that moment where they hold each other's hands and just feel
that
the
was a lot for
pain.
me.
I loved that. I love
I
that shift.
know.
I love that he is in the group.
I
And
know. I mean, of
and
course
Barry,
you
in
do.
describing the pain that he must be going through every single day, it makes
I
me
Because it's like
so
losing half of
sad.
your soul. Like, is it better
Yeah.
to have not known
Yeah, he
her?
said, I can't even compare losing a sister to losing a mate. And I was like, ooh, that's a weird thing to think of it that way.
But I feel like at least Bryce was somewhat on that level because while it was not her mate, it was kind of like a soulmate in a friendship. I really do think she does understand that level of pain that he's going through because
Yes.
she did love her so much. So,
Yeah. Agreed.
yeah, that moment was
Oh my God.
so good, so sad.
I know.
I liked it. Okay, you guys, my favorite character. Jessica. Holy shit.
Man.
Did we think that she was the priestess of Parthos library?
No, I never would have guessed that she was a priestess from Parthos and that she was originally human. 100% never would have crossed my mind.
No.
But then she
No,
got
her
cursed by Adis,
Yeah.
right?
By Apollyon.
That was
Apollyon. I
Apollyon.
couldn't remember.
It
Yeah.
was Apollyon.
And it was after he had just eaten what's his
This
butt?
dairy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Serious?
And that's how she ended up with her
Serious.
power was because he had so much of it essentially that when he was the way they made that sound cuz she says the way his power touched her or something and
Yes.
Ethan alluded to that being kind of a non-consensual touch, I feel like. That I was
Yes.
just like, oh God. But it felt very similar to Nesta almost taking something from the cauldron, like Jessica.
Yes.
Like, even if she was unaware, maybe that she was doing it, like I feel like there was some semblance of F you. I'll take some of this with me, hopefully.
But also, what? You're not going to believe me that we care about the knowledge of these books so much that we, yes, risked our lives, risked
uh-huh.
every human that is left
Mhm.
lives. And you're just going to throw a temper tantrum
Mhm.
and curse me because you
Mhm.
don't believe me.
To stay
And then
exactly the way I
continue.
am.
Yeah.
Until you tell
And
me.
continue to do that forever. I also find it interesting that she's like buddies with Adis, but
Uh-huh.
Apollyon did this to her. I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic.
Oh yeah. For sure.
I like Jessica,
I
you
think there's
guys.
still a lot, obviously, to uncover there still. I just love Ethan for just finally asking the questions that Bryce never would. Because that always annoyed me. I was like, you just assume. You're just like, whatever. Yep, that's what we're doing. She's
Yeah.
what she said. I'm not gonna ask any questions. I'm not messing with her. And Ethan's like, no, but like what about these books though? Were they actually are they really?
Yeah.
It
So,
was
but like, why do you have
interesting.
them? Why do you
Yeah.
know that?
I thought it was
I love
interesting
it.
where the books come from because I didn't think that. I thought the books were just books, but then after she had talked about how long ago she had come from, then I was like, oh, maybe these books are actually like the souls of the people that were still there. I don't know if they had like transferred into the books and that just kind of like they were hiding. I don't know why I
Yeah.
thought that. And then she went in and said that she actually created a lot of the books and used them as spells to protect the real books that they were trying to
And then
keep
they
them.
became their own
Yeah.
entity. That's what's interesting to me is like all of these books are actually aware.
Sentient.
It's like
yeah.
robots, you
Yes.
guys. And we're getting there.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, don't you remember in the first book, Lahaba being like, she'd throw something at a book or skitter them back or threaten them to get back in their spot because
Mhm.
they were always trying to get
Out.
Like out.
out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know that I ever really thought of them still as like sentient beings. I just didn't really put that thought into it. I really just I don't know. That whole thing was interesting. And that's part of the reason she wants no one to get it is because she's imbued it with her power. Like
And it's
Yeah.
got her
that's
magic in
also
it.
Now it's
Got her
not
magic.
just knowledge, it's even more so.
Yeah. Did you, Bree, when that book is like coming after Ethan. Did
Yes.
you not picture the Book of Monsters
100%.
or the Book of Creatures? What is it called?
Full Harry Potter moment
From
for
Harry
me,
Potter.
where
I
it's
was
just like,
all I could picture was this little hairy book like trying to eat him.
100%, yes.
I like how the book, how it just kind of kept going. It was like a little
Yeah.
puppy. Arr, I'm gonna get you, and then they're like,
Yep.
"Stop!"
Yes.
Jessica just had
Which
to.
is completely like the book in Harry Potter.
I love
Yes.
it. I thought it was so funny.
I did visualize that. Yes.
That's all I could picture that whole time. Yeah, I loved that entire interaction. I feel like we are right in the middle of it right now because
Mhm.
they're kind of hopping back and forth. And obviously, we've hopped back to
Yes.
the
The
inner
group.
circle of this group. But I'm excited to see where
Mhm.
else that goes because.
Well, and we still haven't learned her real name. There's still something
Oh,
to that. Like,
yeah.
we don't know her real name yet. We
Mhm.
don't really understand that relationship she has with the Underking. Like, there's still to
She's second in
unveil
command,
from
though, you guys. I had
her.
no idea.
Oh, you didn't? I think I thought that the whole time, but I don't know
Oh.
why I thought that. There's nothing that was ever said for that, but I think in my mind,
You just assumed.
doesn't it say she only answers to the Underking? That's the
Which
only
makes
person she
sense
answers
if
to.
she's second in
So I
command.
guess
Yeah.
that
No.
in my mind, I was like, yeah.
No, I just
Yeah.
assumed that everyone only answers to the Autumn King, and that doesn't mean that they're second in
Yeah.
command. So that's
Yeah,
why
I don't know.
Yeah, true. I get what you're
But
saying there.
I was shocked with that revelation.
Mhm.
She's a badass, and she's got so much money. So much money, you guys. Put it
I
on
mean,
her
she's been
monthly
around
tab.
for a long time.
And I just the casual, yeah, just add that. I was like,
She said it's a
meanwhile,
tax write-off for the house.
Yeah,
I was like, what? That whole thing
Okay.
was wild.
so much money. And then just finding out her relationship with the astronomer.
Mhm.
Also used him to find, I don't remember what, but there was something she was looking for, and he was the only one that could look for it, but he also had the dragon, which she also wanted.
Well, looking for a way to break her curse with
Oh, that's right.
Apollyon. But she only wants to do it when she knows that the books are going to truly actually be safe. So I think she only wants to break her curse when the stereo will be gone, and honestly, probably the princes of hell are gone too.
Mhm.
Break that connection, close the rift, make
Mhm.
Midgard truly just Midgard and people within.
Yeah.
And I think she did allude to the fact that she wasn't planning on doing it anytime soon. She just wanted it for when it was time.
Mhm. Yeah,
I think
She wants-
by the end of the series, we'll see it.
100%. Yes.
Like, she'll
Yeah.
peace out. Ugh. And I just love that she showed Ethan her true appearance and that she hides that most of the time. I was like, huh.
Again, picturing her with blonde hair, not how I pictured her.
I
So it's like
know.
long blonde hair. I'm like, nope. Still.
I imagine it with dark hair, but I also just always
Yeah.
imagine it as long.
Yeah.
Same.
I do prefer the long visual. But yeah,
Yeah.
the blonde really trips me up every time. I can't quite wrap my head around that one.
Yeah.
It's okay. Maybe like in the movie, it'll be dark.
It'll
hair.
help me. But I feel like there's a lot of blondies, like when you really get down to it, like that I don't necessarily picture that way. I know they are, but in my head, they're not.
Mm.
There's quite a few.
Did you guys notice that Jessica never threatened Ethan by wanting to turn him into something else?
I thought
No,
she
she
did.
didn't. I don't. She definitely makes a lot of references
To
use
turning
this
things.
and
She
like
makes
that
him
Bryce
sit on
wouldn't
the
ask
ground
too
like
many
a dog.
questions. Yeah, she definitely refers to him as like
Because she has
Pup a
him
lot, I
sleep on
feel
the
like.
floor.
She just made more of like, why you ask so many questions?
I mean,
But
he's
then still
working,
answers them.
he's working off like a debt essentially, though. He doesn't actually work for her. So once he actually works for her, then she could be like, do your job or I'm going to turn you into a toad. But right now, she knows he's going to do his job because he is motivated.
She already has leverage.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see.
Oh, Hypaxia getting overthrown by the witches.
Oh
I
my God, I forgot.
mean, I
was like,
can't
what
say
about her?
I'm shocked. Just like with how they kind of
I think
talked
these
about-
witches are similar to the Throne of Glass witches, like ruthless,
Mhm.
bloodthirsty, not like
Yeah.
Hypaxia at all.
I know.
'Cause
Which
the hag,
Kind.
love that she had to then pledge her allegiance to. This is going to be a whole different, interesting concept. I mean, obviously, her being a necromancer and seeing what happens there, I'm excited for, but I'm intrigued to see what else happens with her character, especially since she kind of said bye to her girlfriend too in that.
I know they did.
Yes,
break
she
up.
did. I said, yes, you did, Hypaxia. Not today, lady.
Bye-bye, traitor.
I was really
Oh.
hoping that.
I lived for that part. I was like, yes, girl, you know what you're worth. You know your worth. She ain't it.
I know.
It's still
But
sad,
also
though.
so sad. Yeah.
Because were they mates?
Do I hope she, I don't know. Maybe.
It could have been.
I mean,
How
it
sad.
definitely like kind of made it seem that way, but damn, everybody be
But
finding
maybe
their
not.
mates if that's the case. But I loved that she did that. And
No.
I hope that Celestina gets a redemption arc. I think that would be lovely for them.
I know, because they really do. I did like her character so much. Again, obviously, she fucked that up at the end. I really liked so much about her character that I feel like giving her a redemption arc wouldn't be that like, difficult for us as readers. Be like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, especially because I do believe that what she did was for Hypaxia.
Yes.
Even though it was misguided.
Dumb. Real dumb.
Yeah.
She fucked a lot of shit up doing that.
Yeah, she did.
Wrong side, ma'am. Wrong side.
Mhm.
Wrong team.
Team Cave or Team Archives?
Which one would you want to be in?
Team Cave.
I love that the boys who had previously been in the cave were like, absolutely effing not. I will not. Like, that was so funny to me. Guys, you've at least experienced, you know what? No. They're like, no.
They were
good
like,
luck, guys."
Archives. Archives.
Yeah. They're like, but I thought one of you would tell me because you've been there before. They're like, nope.
They were all like, nope, good luck, bye.
I just love that they call them teams. Team Cave, Team Archive. I've been seeing shirts now on Instagram that are
Oh my
Team Caves,
God.
Team Archives.
Yeah, that's so
freaking
fast, you guys.
funny.
Do you know how hard it was to go through all of the social media things, trying to avoid all of the House of Shadow things?
I feel like
Because
people have been pretty good in general from what I have
I was gonna
seen.
say a lot of the stuff has popped up has lots of spoiler warnings so far for me. But yes, I do feel like I have to tread very lightly.
I'm just like,
I don't read very much. I'm just like, nah, feels unsafe.
Yeah, but
Whole thing. So
Team
funny.
Cave would be definitely interesting, but also Team Archives could also be a little interesting.
I'm excited to read that back and forth. Like what, because you know they're both gonna go through some shit. Probably at the same time, and you're just gonna be jumping back and forth and feeling a lot of feelings. But,
Yeah, I think it's super significant that, because I don't remember them saying this before, but I must have missed it, I guess, in previous books, that the cave is Peleus's tomb.
Yeah, I don't.
That feels significant.
Yeah, I think that this is where I think Bryce is going to absorb more power. I think there's power there, just like she absorbed from. She's still not fully charged. I think she's going to get all of them.
Whereas
I think a lot of them left it behind.
She has power.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think she's got to get all of them. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I definitely think there's something like that going to come into play. It'll be interesting to see also if we get some sort of hologram of him, because that could be wild. Like, I'd love to see his version of events. Well, yes. But it'd be interesting to see a bunch of different points of view of how that went, because I'm sure their tellings are all very different.
I wish it could be like a back and forth where she could actually talk to them, though, because I would love to have Bryce just telling him that like he's a rapist asshole that she hates, and just throw him
Instead
shit
of just
like
yelling at
one
him.
after the other. Yeah, not mad, but just be like, okay, rapist. Okay, murderer.
You know,
like just
her typical
giving him
self.
shit.
Yeah.
Because you know she would not. She'd be like, no,
she ain't
not
here to play.
today.
Especially the way she was yelling at the other hologram. She
was going at it. So the Ocean Queen, I did not imagine her as this tiny person that walks
could get bigger,
that grows taller and taller till 7 feet tall and more, and then shrinks back down and has barnacles in her hair.
Guys,
no,
she's Ogenis. She's got to be Ogenis.
No,
Ogenis.
She was made from Ogenis. So maybe she's the daughter of Ogenis.
Oh.
the amount of power that they talk about her having, they
Seemed
say it's more
terrifying.
than the Asteri. It's more than anything.
Everyone's
She
scared of
was
her.
there way before
Yeah.
any of this happened. The
Mhm.
mayor
Yeah.
were there. Obviously, we found out before the Asteri came over,
Yeah.
they were already in Midgard. But she feels like goddess level of
Yes.
power. Like all-consuming, suffocating power. They say she
'Cause
sucks
even
the
Hunt
air out of the room.
Yeah. 'Cause Hunt seemed to be
Hunt says it's worse than
impressed.
the Asteri.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like he's got a crazy amount of power himself, so, like, I can only imagine then.
And not a lot of us
And
seen her before. Not even
No.
Therion before.
no. And I thought it was so interesting that she referred to the River Queen as her sister.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Mhm.
I just think that like they are assuming that they are related because they're of, or she has
Water.
manufactured that story that, oh, we're the rulers of the waters and whatnot. But
Yeah.
she, I think, is the ruler of all water
Yeah.
with the amount of power that she has.
Not just Ocean
Yeah.
Queen, but like all of it.
I feel like she's Ogenis.
Or maybe.
Or at least a descendant, but I think
Her power is just. And then I can't remember. Did she have to drop, or was it just her people? Like, 'cause
her
they're
people.
prior. So
Because she didn't
her
get
power
poisoned
was
before.
never tampered with in the way that the rest were either. So maybe that's coming into play. Yes, her power's clearly high, but I just wonder if part of
It's
it
not
is because it was
diluted.
never dampened.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Reese.
Yeah.
So she could be that she has like High Lord type power because Bryce talks about how ungodly Reese's power is
Yeah.
and how she's like not used to being in the presence of someone that has that kind of power. So could be this is what the rulers would have actually been if they had not had a parasite in them and had their
Correct.
power slowly sucked away.
Yeah.
But the parasites have been there since the Asteri put it there. Does that mean that the Ocean Queen did not consume this water since the Asteri got there? That because she would have been.
Well, she was there prior to that, no?
Yes.
She could have settled already.
Yeah.
Before
That would
that.
be my guess, is she was already in her power,
Settled.
so
Got
it
it.
didn't affect her.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because they also talk about the fact that when Bryce is like, oh, they're 15,000 years old, Reese and them don't really even blink at it. They're like, okay, so I guess they're used to people having really long lives here. And the Fae do in Prithian. I don't know how long. I mean, none of them were really, they weren't like 15,000 years other than Amryn, but several thousand years, I think is
Normal.
totally fine for them. But
Wild.
that's why I feel like she's a goddess.
Just
makes
'cause of-
sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not against it. And again, like, knowing her next series, she wants to dive into that whole realm of things. It just would
She's
track
getting
if-
into gods.
Mhm.
Is that what her next series
Would
is
not
about?
surprise me.
I didn't look into any of that stuff.
She happened to mention it in an interview or something I watched, and that's kind of the direction she plans on going with it, is God. So it just would make sense that we're stepping into God, goddess, demigod territory, because I think she enjoys that whole concept.
I mean, I love a good god goddess story.
Same.
I'm all about all that power. So, Bryce Dannon, Queen of the Valbaran Bay.
Ugh. I love that she just like casually came out with that in the middle of her conversation with the Ocean Queen, who she seems not threatened by at all in any way, shape, or form, in true her fashion.
Honestly, she just like walks up and is, oh, hey, yeah, he's my subject. She's like, excuse me, who are you? And she's, oh, I'm Bryce Dannon, Queen of the Valbaran Fae.
And then Hunt's
I was like,
yeah, I'm her mate. It's true.
He's like, yeah, she is. Excuse me, ma'am, what? Remember when you were like, I never want to be queen ever?
I know.
She didn't want to be princess?
Nah, I need it.
She fucks up her dad and she's like, yeah, this is nice. I want to rule now.
She locks him in the closet.
I love that so much. Yes. Go off, Bryce.
So freaking funny.
Yeah. But
So do you guys think this
proclaimed?
was just a front, or do you think she really wants this now?
I really think she'll end up going for it. I don't know if it's necessarily a true want, because I don't know that she loves the idea of being in charge. Like, I think part of her does, but a lot of her really wants to just have her normal life with Hunt. But I do think she's realizing the necessity of it, that she needs
Yeah.
to be kind of in this position of power, and her dad sucks and needs to not be in that position of power.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think she's gonna make a run for it.
I am hoping, because she really hates Faye. Let's be real. She doesn't like her people at all. She needs like a real big Faye redemption arc. My hope is that everything that's ever been said about the Avalon Fae is actually false. And once you get behind those myths, it's all a front. And they're actually
Kind.
really just like the Prithian
Oh.
Fae. They're very kind,
Uh-huh.
very forward. Like, they have put up this giant front that makes everyone think that they are backwater and they don't ever want to go there. And so when Rune and
Interesting,
them
just
came
like
and
the
visit,
night court.
so when
I
Rune
like
came
that
and
idea.
visited, they kept up the front.
Uh-huh.
But that's not really what it is, because she needs some kind of redemption for her to believe in saving the Fae. Because at this point, what is she actually saving? She doesn't like them. She thinks they're all assholes.
No, yeah.
So
No,
I
it's
think,
really truly about then being in charge to
yeah.
like have the power to do something.
So
So
I
yeah,
kind of
no, I
hope,
agree.
I
That would
kind of
be
hope that
nice.
this is all a front and they get behind those myths and it was all a lie.
That would be
So
wild.
I think that Bryce claimed queen for that situation only, but I do think the end game is that she will be queen. I think it would
Same.
Yeah.
be fantastic if the Avalon Fae were kinder than what they put out there, kind of like how Bryce put out
Mhm.
that image of, oh, I'm just a ditzy party girl.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
would love that. I would love that idea. But then you know how they made Cormac's dad just seem like he's a terrible person and
Mhm.
the living shit out of Cormac to get him to
Yeah.
be more pliable. But then there's those twins also that are over there that can read your
Mhm.
minds all the time without permission. I mean, I guess there's always good guys and bad guys no matter
Yeah.
what. There's not everything is
The
like
murder twins.
the
Yeah.
murder twins.
But also, they were a threat. Rune and Flynn and Deck were a threat to their prince becoming a starborn prince and getting what they believed was his destiny.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
do
but I
we
just can't
not?
imagine them lying about the dad though beating him. Like, I just can't imagine that
I mean,
necessarily
Rune's
being.
dad beat him, didn't he? Didn't they
Oh, yeah.
lock him in
Yes,
a
and it's almost something I felt like they kind of were kindred spirits in that, like, both their dads sucked.
Yeah, but
Um,
Reese's dad also
Mhm.
was absolutely horrible.
I know, but, like, I just can't then imagine finding a redemption arc there. I just don't think it's gonna be there if he's still in charge, you know?
Mhm.
It'd
Yeah.
be different if it was like Cormac, you know? I
Yeah.
just don't know that there's that level of influence. I don't know. I would love that, but I just don't know if that's gonna happen.
Do you think
Yeah.
Cormac's alive?
No.
No, I think he's gone. Sad.
They're
See,
in.
this is what I'm saying. I'm mad that they actually kill characters I'd happily bring back, and then they don't like, and then they bring terrible characters back.
Like
Stop
the
doing
Yeah.
harpy?
Yeah.
You guys, the harpy's going to be big in this next part of this book because if she remembers
She's going to be after the hind. She's going to be going after her hard.
Mhm.
I hope she kills her again.
It's going to be
I would die if
it's going to
that's
be a
her
roller
again.
coaster, you guys. I mean,
There's just so
true to
much
Sarah
still to
J. Maas
happen.
form, roller coaster. All right, Kayla.
Agreed.
We're down to the predictions and theories of what we think could happen. Lots
We
of this
talked
stuff.
about almost all of them already.
Oh, good.
What do we think's gonna happen though in the rest of this book? Like, obviously, we're headed
Siggy is coming back.
for.
Yeah.
I do think she's coming back. I still think they've got to be mates or something. Like, I just think there's still more to that. It'll be interesting to see what happens when she comes back, though. If she's
Do you think
just
she
like
did it on purpose?
ragey.
Died on purpose?
Yeah.
I think it's possible because how else was she going to get out of that and save him?
Mhm.
But he couldn't have killed her if they were mates. So they can't be mates. You cannot harm your
Well,
mate.
but I thought you could, like, because it's not something you necessarily realize immediately. Isn't it something like it can be later on that like you realize? So I just don't think that like connection, mate, whatever has happened yet. And it's going to happen when she comes back.
Yeah, but I think regardless, even before you know it, you still can't harm them. I think there's something innate, unless it's not. They're all Fae, so it has
But it
to
was
be.
accidental. It was not
Yeah.
intentional. He did not want to kill her. So that's where
No.
I think maybe that was a loophole.
Yeah.
And
But
and
yeah.
how did she accidentally go right in his fist when she had like so quick the whole time?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I get what you're saying as far as that maybe being intentional.
Mhm.
It'll be
I
interesting. Yeah, how she
still don't
responds
know that I believe that she should be
in
the
charge.
like ruler of the wolves. Like I don't know that I believe that she should be the alpha.
Yeah, I still think it should be Ethan, but that's is where I think they could be mates, is they could lead together. I
Yeah.
just think with her lack of social awareness, it doesn't make for a great leader personally. So, not that she doesn't have some good instincts to her alphaness, because I do think she has some good ones there, but I just think there's enough social stuff that
Maybe
I
Yeah.
she'll
think
have
Ethan would be a
puppies, you
better one.
guys.
What?
Maybe she'll have puppies and they'll be little Fendir puppies. And then one of them will be the next.
Technically, actually, I guess they would be Fendir because I was going to say
Yeah.
technically they'd be Holstroms, but no, whoever's more powerful, you take their last name.
It's so cute, little
So
puppies.
then could he be alpha? Like, would she have to then, if they were, say, I'm going long con here. Say if they are mates and they rule together. If she's more powerful, can they, like, he be over her? Like, how does that dynamic work? I
I think
thought,
just acting, right?
No, I think you have
or would they
to
just act together?
challenge.
But if they're mates, how does that work?
They would just rule together.
Okay. I'm just,
Yeah, I think they would
okay.
rule together, but I guess you'd have to have a prime. I think she would be prime and he would be her advisor.
I like that
Which
idea.
I could be on board with that because I do
But
think
he also killed her. So he did
that's
beat her. So technically they have challenged. They have
I just don't
she's
know.
lost.
I like
So
Uh-huh.
this. I like where this is going.
technically he's already beat her as alpha. So if she bows down, which maybe she will, maybe it'll
Yeah,
come to it where she has to decide
if
and
she's
she will
gonna
bow
challenge.
down to him because he has already beaten her.
I just think there's a lot more to unfold there for sure.
Mhm.
And I'm excited for that storyline also. Obviously, I'm excited for where we go in the cave. Like I said, I think she's going to get some sort of power from that. I think it's going to be a hot mess to get there, but I do think in the end she's going to get some sort of power from that.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how the boys do in the archives.
You know, because no women are
I
allowed, you guys.
I feel like the murder twins are gonna go after them in the
Yeah,
archives.
I was
Like
going to say, because
it's gonna
they've
be
got
the
to have
murder
a.
archives, like not murder cave anymore. Now it's just the murder archives.
I
With the
love
twins
it.
being there. Yeah. And then, like, where do we think it's gonna go after that? Like, obviously that's more, like, clear. We can see where this is going, but I'm just curious.
Do you not think that
By
Bryce
the
is
end,
gonna bring help back to help them with the Asteri?
I mean, yes, but is that gonna happen by the end of this book? I'm just trying to figure out
Mm.
what point, because it seems like from the snippets of people being like, "Oh my god, I finished this." We're, I think, ending on another cliffhanger of some kind or a mind blow something. I just don't know what that's gonna be.
I
I
think we're
just
gonna
don't know
find
that I
out
can see
who Hunt's dad
what
is.
that is.
We're gonna
That would be amazing.
we're
I
gonna
would
find out what
love
the
to.
black crown means. That'd be
We
I want him
awesome.
to
better.
get rid of that. Which, now that Hypaxia can come into play again, can she get rid of?
I don't
I
know
know she
because
was
this
able to of
wasn't
the last one.
created.
I know.
This
See,
wasn't
and that's
witch
where I don't
created.
know if. So is only the Asteri able to get rid of this one?
I don't
Ugh!
know.
I have so
Or can
many
the Ocean
feelings.
Queen do it because she's a goddess?
I don't know.
Bryce now because she has the Asteries light.
True. And she
Ooh,
just never
that
even
would be
thought about
great.
doing it before.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
would be
she'd
great.
have to like scald it off of him, probably.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it would be horrific.
But why does it hurt, you guys?
There's something weird to that I don't love.
Parasites burrowing into his brain.
Ew. No, don't love that.
think-
Don't love that.
Do you think they're going to move to a different world because the water is infested with the parasites? Like, do you think
Just
that's...
abandon Midgard.
Oh, that'd be
Deuces. Yep.
wild.
I mean, how do you clear
There's
it
got
up?
to be some sort of way to get rid of them, I would hope.
I don't know.
Maybe if you kill the Asteri, you kill their parasites.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a yeah.
A symbiotic
Because
kind
I
of
just
thing.
can't imagine them completely doing the same thing that started this, essentially. And okay, we all got to pack up and start fresh somewhere. Like, I can't imagine that's how this all ends. That would be wild to me.
Things to
That would
think
be a
about, you guys.
trip.
I
I
know. I think it's hard knowing that there's another book coming.
Yes.
There's
When
another
Az's
ACOTAR
book-
coming.
Yeah, because isn't Az's book next?
Mhm.
So I think there's something to that. I would be kind of surprised, especially since he was involved in this. Like,
He took
there's
his
got to be
little knife.
something to that. Yeah, like, where are we going to pick up on his story? I think that's where I struggle. Are we going to then pick up after she left? Is he coming back into play? I just... We need to finish reading this half of the book so I can find out, I guess.
I can't wait,
Yeah.
you
What my
guys.
thoughts are.
I mean, thank God that we are able to just start reading again, guys, because normally we
Ugh.
finish a book and we're just screwed and we don't know anything.
I'm
So
so glad we gave it this halfway stop. Like, even though it was challenging, I loved being able to like really theorize what we think's gonna happen and really deep dive into this half of it because so much happened. Clearly, we've talked for a long time.
yeah.
Shocker.
We did.
Now,
Well, and then doing it this way, you guys, it really helped me slow down and actually take in a lot of the stuff that happens because, again, I'm just a surface reader. I just read and I don't care. And I'm just like, oh, this is nice. And oh, this made me feel this way.
Yeah, and this
But
forces you to actually take in what's going on.
And I
but I don't feel like
it.
you did this time.
No.
You were not surface level on this one.
No.
You picked up a lot.
You really took the time. Meanwhile, you guys were just reminding me of things as we went. Because I went into this, I was like, man, I already forgot a lot. And I was like rereading like Jessica's story again because I was like, man, I know there was a lot there. I better I read it all way too fast. So you guys helped me a lot. Thank you so much for remembering.
Oh,
more
yeah.
than I do.
This is like a recap for you. Now you're ready to read the rest of it.
Yes, I'm very excited to read the rest. I'm about to just plow through the last half.
Gotta get it done before we start work.
Okay, you guys, I think that's it for today. If you join us for the second half of Crescent City, House of Flame and Shadow, this one right here, then please tune in 2 weeks from today, March 1st, for our next episode. Also, if you like what you hear, then please share it with your friends. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all major streaming platforms. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye, book besties.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.